All right, let's talk about London's Victoria and Albert Museum, or the V&A, as pretty much everyone calls it. Now, you might think of it as just this huge, gorgeous building stuffed with amazing objects. And well, you're not wrong. But that's not the whole story. This is actually about a totally radical idea. A museum that wasn't just built to, preserve the past, but to actively shape the future of design for a whole country. It's the story of how a museum became a blueprint for what's next.
And the whole thing really kicks off with a question. So picture this. It's the middle of the 19th century, and this absolutely spectacular temporary palace made of glass and iron just appears in London's Hyde Park. So how on earth did that fleeting, shining marvel give birth to a permanent, world-famous palace of design? Well, that's what we're here to figure out. Okay, so let's get into the timeline here because things moved pretty quickly. It all starts in 1851 with the Great Exhibition, this massive international fair held in the legendary Crystal Palace. It was a smash hit, so much so that they used the profits just 1 year later to start a whole new museum, the Museum of Manufacturers. Fast forward to 1857, and it moves to its current spot in South Kensington. Then, the grand finale, 1899. Queen Victoria herself, in her last ever public ceremony, lays the foundation stone for the building we all know and love today, and she renames it the Victoria and Albert Museum. Pretty cool, right?
So here's what we're going to cover. We'll look at how this whole idea was forged in crystal. Then we'll see how it became a schoolroom for everyone. We'll talk about the building itself being an exhibit, take a peek at the 5,000 years of creativity inside, and finally, check out its incredible legacy of firsts.
All right, let's kick things off at the very beginning. This whole institution, this big idea, it was forged in crystal. The Crystal Palace, that is.
Okay, so the Great Exhibition of 1851, it wasn't just some big party. It had a really serious goal, and it was all championed by Prince Albert. See, he looked around and realized that British manufacturing was, well, kind of falling behind, especially when it came to artistry and design. So the exhibition was basically a huge wake-up call. And the profits, they didn't just disappear. They were used to create this whole cultural district. People even nicknamed it Albertopolis, all about art and science education. And the museum was its very first project. The mission was crystal clear: educate designers, manufacturers, and the public to seriously level up British design.
Now, this whole mission was really driven by the vision of one guy, Sir Henry Cole, the museum's very first director. And let me tell you, he had a truly radical idea for what a museum could actually be.
The museum should be a schoolroom for everyone. I mean, just let that sink in. Cole's whole philosophy was that good design wasn't just for the rich or the elite. Nope, it was for everybody. He saw the museum as this practical, hands-on educational tool. It wasn't meant to be some dusty old place full of relics. It was supposed to be a living, breathing classroom, totally open to all.
So, how did he teach good design? Well, Cole had some, let's just say, unconventional methods. To show people what good design looked like, he decided to show them what bad design looked like. He created this special exhibit of stuff he thought was just awful. Way too much decoration, weird materials, that kind of thing. The press, of course, had a field day and nicknamed it the Chamber of Horrors. And get this, the funniest part was that all the objects in this horrible exhibit were actually bestsellers. The public thought it was hilarious, but the manufacturers whose stuff was in there, oh, they were not happy. The whole thing got shut down after just 2 weeks. A pretty bold experiment, right?
But it wasn't just about what was inside the museum. The educational mission was baked right into the walls. The building itself was designed to be part of the whole lesson.
The museum's start on this site was actually pretty humble. The very first building was this temporary iron structure, and one magazine said it looked like a 3-fold monster boiler. Ouch. The nickname stuck, and everyone started calling them the Brompton Boilers. So yeah, not exactly a glamorous beginning.
But right from the start, the museum was a total pioneer. It was actually the first museum in the world to install gas lighting. And you might be thinking, gas lighting, so what? Well, it was a huge deal. It meant the museum could stay open late into the evening, which meant working people could finally visit after a long day at the factory. Henry Cole even hoped it would be a powerful antidote to the Gin Palace. It was all about making art and design accessible to everyone.
And as the permanent buildings started to go up, they kept blending art and industry in these really clever ways. You know all those beautiful, intricate details on the outside? They look like they're carved from stone, but they're not. They're actually terracotta, cast from molds. This meant they could make these really complex designs over and over again, super economically. It was a lesson in good, efficient design built right into the walls of the place.
And here's something that just perfectly shows the museum's whole philosophy.
Inside, in the South Court, they created what people started calling the Kensington Valhalla. It's the series of 35 mosaic portraits of great European artists. But here's the kicker. They didn't just put up portraits of painters. They included sculptors, architects, and designers. This was such a bold statement at the time. They were saying loud and clear that the so-called applied arts were every bit as important as the fine arts.
So, you've got this amazing building, this incredible schoolroom. What do you fill it with? Well, how about an absolutely astonishing collection that spans 5,000 years of human creativity?
Okay, let's just talk about the sheer scale of this collection. We're talking about roughly 2.8 million objects. It is the world's largest museum of applied arts, decorative arts, and design. I mean, seriously, try to even wrap your head around that number. It's almost impossible.
And the variety is it's mind-blowing. You've got Tipu's tiger, this incredible life-size mechanical tiger attacking a soldier. You have one of the oldest and biggest carpets in the entire world, the Ardebil carpet. You've got costumes from Coco Chanel and Christian Dior. There's a full-size plaster cast of Michelangelo's David. The Great Bed of Ware, a gigantic bed from the 1590s that could supposedly sleep 8 people at once. Oh, and jewelry worn by Catherine the Great. It really is a collection of, well, everything.
And that spirit of innovation, of always being the first to do something, that didn't just stop back in the 19th century. The V&A has this incredible legacy of firsts that's still shaping our world today.
Think about this for a second. The Museum Cafe. Seems totally normal now, right? Every museum has one. Well, the V&A opened the world's first one all the way back in 1856. That was Henry Cole again. He just knew that to have a great visitor experience, you needed a place for refreshments. And these weren't just any old rooms to grab a bite. They were designed to be stunning works of art themselves, just another part of the whole educational journey.
And today, that legacy is still expanding. The V&A isn't just one museum anymore, it's a whole family. You've got the absolutely stunning V&A Dundee up in Scotland, the Young V&A in London, which is designed just for kids, the V&A Wedgwood collection for all you ceramics fans, and now there's V&A East, a whole new museum and storehouse opening up. That original idea is just continuing to grow and evolve.
When Queen Victoria spoke at the naming ceremony back in 1899, she said she hoped the museum would remain a source of refinement and progress. And you know what? Over 100 years later, that vision of a living, breathing schoolroom for absolutely everyone, a place that doesn't just show you history but actually inspires the future, is more alive than ever. So maybe the next time you think about a museum, you won't just think of it as a place for things that have been, but as a workshop for everything that could be.